Welcome to another episode of The Brand Called You, a podcast and podcast show that brings you leadership lessons, knowledge, experience, and wisdom from thousands of successful individuals from around the world. I am your host, Ashutosh Garg, and today I'm delighted to welcome a very successful entrepreneur from Sydney, Australia, Tamanna Singh. Tamanna, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Ashutosh.
Tamanna is the managing director of UberLuxIndia. She's also the founder of House of Wellness. She's the president of India Awardee. She's been nominated in the top 10 Indian origin women in Australia. She's a mentor, a motivational speaker, an investor, and a philanthropist. And she's been recognized, awarded, and felicitated all over. So Tamanna, after such an amazing journey, let's focus today on your business, which is the UberLux group of companies. And you say you're pioneering affordable luxury in India. Tell me a little bit about this business and what was your motivation to start?
Okay, so I'll just take you a step back. I come from an army background. We are three
Wonderful. So do
generations
I.
Indian. Oh, awesome. So we are three generations Indian Army, and as we love to call ourselves the Army brat. So I've been in the phases where I've been an Army child and an Army wife. And it was just 8 years back when my husband decided to take a premature retirement. And while in the army also, the work that he was doing or I was doing, we were always recognized for our hard work and discipline. So, taking that forward, we thought that it's time to now bet on ourselves and, get to do something. And that is when the entrepreneurial bug stuck. To start the journey, we partnered with an international brand. Somehow things did not work out that well. We tried our level best, but it was a steep learning curve for me and my husband. Because we were total fudgies, absolutely zero about the business background, and nobody in the family had that. So, continuing to that, what happened was during that we learned a lot of things, courses and all that. So taking that, taking a lot of inspiration from there or taking learnings from there, that is when we started doing a lot of brands. And that is how, one thing led to another. And during that course, because we were learning marketing and we were trying to understand what is a business plan, what is, management, what is how to even look at the fonts and all that. So it just helped us. So that is how one after another. I think for what worked for both of us was that since we came from the army background, people people trusted us for our hard work. They could see that. So along the way, during the first business, we doomed like anything. Like everybody else, I guess. It did not do well, and there were so many learnings. But that what did not go away was, people's trust in us. In fact, I had people from all walks of life coming and approaching that, either mentor us or be part of our startup or do this or do that. That is what I guess. So I'm more of a people's person. So just, I think that is what, and blessings have been there. So yes.
Fantastic. And when you say that you are pioneering affordable luxury, help me understand how you define affordable luxury.
Yes. So, me and my husband would travel across the globe, even in India for that matter, across the nation and across the globe. And we would recognize the trends in India come much later. Earlier, it used to be like 2 years.
Yeah.
But now it's like the gap is coming up between 1 year. So the trends that are in US or our other counterparts are enjoying, or what our other family members who are settled abroad enjoy, it comes in India almost a year later. So we thought that first of all we need to bridge that, and secondly, just because it is called organic or herbal, or the purity of the product is there, especially when we are sourcing it from India. Most of these international brands, when they're sourcing that from India, why does it need to be expensive? Because I'm playing influencer or Bollywood star or doing so much marketing at that level. I totally understand. That was also part of the business, and one needs to do that. Whatever suits everyone else. So we thought that's very important. So for our first approach to the whole thing was that why cannot we get affordable when we say affordable luxury, we meant the purest or the best of the ingredients, best of the technology to whatever we have to offer, and then mix it with our vision and give it at affordable, because that is where the middle class, lower middle class, and as we said, we are from the army backgrounds. We see what is available in the canteen.
Correct.
I mean, why do we have to get something that's substandard at the end of the day? So that was the vision.
Very interesting. And you have been building multiple brands, and when I was reading about you, you have built 9 brands. Tell me about these brands.
So that is where I'm a bit of a crazy one, because I love working with forecasting agencies and I love to see the trends, how it is. So it is more than the brand, it's the vertical, that happened. So we started with franchising, we started with retailing, we got into FMCG. So there's a brand in FMCG and personal care. Then we have something in beauty and wellness category. And now we are dedicated towards Ayurveda. I'm hellbound to have the first commercial success in Australia with Ayurvedic products, So I'm getting all those licenses and everything done. My husband is into real estate. So that also, is part of the company. And we've also started doing export and import. And especially now with India and Australia signing up the free trade agreement, things have just opened up, And while we were in India, what happened was that a lot of our friends who were outside India would request us that they want to do an Indian market entry, So we would consult them. Now, since I've come to Australia, a lot of my friends are asking me to do this here, So it is just that friends, peers, and colleagues, they just pressurize you to do something more. So that's what it is. So it's more about the verticals that we have within the company.
Wonderful. So tell me a little bit about the work you're doing in the wellness space.
So we have a beauty brand called House of Wellness. It's a wellness, personal care and a wellness brand where we are doing herbal products, and as I said, affordable luxury, very catchy price point wherein anybody and everybody in the family can use it. A girl who's in a hostel or a boy who's staying away can afford it, and it's good quality product, like a kind of a thing. My second brand is UberVeda, which is towards nutraceutical category in Ayurveda. And again, the trend we started because we had a lot of pressure during the COVID times. It started with sanitizers, but then of course the Kara tablets and ashwagandha. It was surprising to see a lot of international brands promoting ashwagandha in India. And they did fantastically well.
Correct.
Ashwagandha, moringa, and all that. So we had the sources, we had the right channel partners. So that is the idea with that, to take it more, and especially the younger generation. I feel, for them, Ayurveda has become more of a boring concept. They feel it's all the churran and the kadhas. So trying to just fit in that kind of lingo, try to make it more fancier in terms of for them to understand. I mean, it's difficult for me to even convince my boys at times. But now when they see the benefit, it's, they're back to roots kind of a thing. So I feel a lot of scope is there. That is what we are trying to do in our.
So you manufacture in India for marketing in Australia, or the other way around?
No, right now we manufacture in India. We have 3 units in Delhi. One for Ayurveda, one for herbal products, and other one is a mix of both. We do Indian market, and we are doing US and Canada market right now. Australia we have not entered yet. Australia just happened that House of Wellness is a very popular brand here, which is a TV channel, and into Chemist Warehouse, 80% things are there from the same brand. So I think we'll get UberVeda or the other brand here for Ayurveda products, because the Indian diaspora really loves it. Sending turmeric capsules or turmeric lattes to my friend in Singapore during COVID times was an eye opener. Because the Indian diaspora really was looking forward for that.
Correct.
So if we're just trying to understand that.
And what are the challenges you face with taking Ayurvedic products to Australia?
TPH, the authorities here are the main concern. I mean, they're the most strict ones across the globe. It's easier for us to represent in FDA or in EU countries. But Australia is strict, But we're working around it in a way that there are labs based out of India who are giving authentication. And then they have certain products, a list of 108 products that are there that are authorized by them. So the problem is getting the raw material here and doing it here is again an issue. They don't want raw materials to come in. We are looking at setting up a setup here, maybe later, not in a hurry, because as you're speaking, I'm also planning and executing another brand, which we'll be launching next month.
Okay.
So that is in femtech space, we're just working on that right now.
Amazing.
Slowly and slowly.
So therefore, a logical next question is what goes into developing and launching a brand?
Oh, a lot of hard work, a lot of sleepless nights. And I think some crazy startup founders like me or my husband for that matter, because it's a whole system, every time you start a new brand, it's from the scratch. There are learnings from the previous one. And because of that, I feel you tend to get overprotected. You try to overthink at times. But right from, I firmly believe, you should not find a solution and then start looking for a problem. Of course, you have to find a problem and then, so of course, reverse engineering works. My husband is an engineer. So, I would learn that from him. So we write the problem statements, we write what is it, and then we start doing it.
Very interesting.
So yes, from research, I feel research is very, very important. Like for this other brand that we are launching, we are right now in clinical trials. We want to support it by that. So it's just not another product that is there in the market. It has to be effective enough. It has to be from, early on, people should be able to understand what is it for. And it also means at times educating the client or the customer, which is very, very important. So a lot of free resources for them to read, to understand, all that goes in.
You also spoke about a brand for beauty. Tell me a little bit about that.
That is the House of Wellness brand that we're doing. That is for everyday girl. A lot of agencies that initially when we were trying to promote the brand would ask me that who's this brand for, and it was very difficult for me to explain who's my target audience, because I feel anybody in the family, from a kid to the eldest in the family, can use the brand. But I realized, I want people who are looking at inspirational beauty in terms of, this is a girl who's going in metro to a workplace, coming back, or she's traveling by bus. There is so much pollution in Delhi. She needs to take care of herself. She needs to be happy with what she has, and the product needs to give her just that. Other than the result part, that is one, but the feeling of, you own it as if you have it. That was very important. So, anybody and everybody should feel that, oh, I can do this. I can take care of myself. And it should become like a habit, In India, usually, that's what I felt earlier, beauty or anything that comes in is that at a later stage, or when you have those problems, then you start doing it, it's not a natural process. Now, the younger generation, of course, with a lot of influencers and all that, it's a different thing. But my generation, at least, it would be only that if you're going for a party, then you just do something, and beauty is something very within, and it's more about happiness.
Right.
That is what we're doing there.
Interesting. So tell me now about the award you got from the President of India.
Oh, that was a special one. So I received, this was for my work that I do with women entrepreneurs. And I've been mentoring them for last 10 years since I'm in this space. But before that also, I've been working with Veer Naris. I mean, you would associate. Those are the winners of the Indian Army. So I've been working with them in my personal capacity. And even as a brand, as a company, we look into that welfare. So I realized that maybe at times it's not the women we can empower who's in that state. What we could do is that we can do the same thing with the kids, be it a girl or a boy in the house, we can empower them more. So that's how we started. And till now, I've done like 15,000 plus women entrepreneurs through our own company, trying to place them or trying to scale them or just do a mini business workshops for them so that they can do anything and other. I mean, again, I'm not biased towards, I don't know if I should be saying this against the papad and the chaat business, but I think we can do much more. We are 50% of the workforce.
Yeah.
And we manage house, we manage other things, we manage kids. So there's so much, it's just that you have to give them the confidence that they can think more than beyond that. It's just that everybody has that limitless boundaries, So it was just that. So I was awarded for that.
Amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
You say that you do a lot of work with women entrepreneurs.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about the work you do with them.
So I am part of a lot of startups and incubators across the globe. One based out of in Sydney is called Shiros Worldwide, not the Shiros that we have in India. And then, of course, we Naris back in India, and then in US and Singapore, across the globe. So, I have come to realize and, understand that women across the globe have 80% similar problem, irrespective of the cultures. It's the money that is not there to put in their business, or the scaling up idea is not there. So I specialize in, bootstrapping, how to bootstrap a business, or how you can vertically, even horizontally create those avenues, wherein, as far as, even if you have a resource extra that is there, or space extra, just rent it out, or get your resource to do some extra work and get the money as it is you're paying salary to them. Just forcing them to kind of think out of the box solutions, and take the business to next level. And also, kind of help them in networking with the right kind of people, or right kind of organizations, so that it helps them to have that kind of network.
Interesting. My next question to you is that, as you've had an amazing journey as an army wife, as an entrepreneur, recognized by the President of India. What would you say are 3 milestones that you can think about in your life or your career?
I think my first brand, when House of Wellness was launched, and within 6-8 months, we were recognized for our work, and just came as a surprise. We were very new. We hardly knew anybody in Delhi, and it just came naturally. And the organizers, when they approached us, so it was like very reassuring, and to know that people believe in that kind of faith, and that is one. Of course, President's Award is always special. And then I think my third milestone has been, I've been very welcomed in, even in Australia, by the community, and when I'm trying to do things here, I'm part of a lot of startup hubs here. So, people are recognizing that kind of work. So that gives me immense pleasure. There have been real good milestones.
Wonderful.
And yes, I think.
Wonderful. So I have time for 2 more questions. My next question is, who or what inspires you to keep doing so many different things?
My mother and my mother-in-law. I think I've been raised by 2 fantastically strong women. My mother has taught me resilience. She has taught me the strength of silent resilience. I mean, you don't have to be loud, and you don't have to be out there. You can just silently build and just come out. My mother-in-law, because right now I'm in that phase of my life where I've spent the equal number of years with my mother as my mother-in-law. My mother-in-law again. I mean, she is just opposite of what my mother is. She says, just go out, do whatever you feel like, and challenge yourself, and never. There are days when you feel, why should you even do it, or just forget it. She is one supercharged woman. So I think both these women have got great impression on me, and that's where I take my inspiration from.
Fantastic.
My husband has been super supportive. He always feels that, go ahead, do it, dive in. I'll come and save you, but you dive. So yes, my boys have been fantastic. So they have never complained. They even now, they're like, go ahead, do it. So yeah, I think the balance has been there.
Fantastic. And my last question to you, you are, you help so many different entrepreneurs. What would your advice be to a young entrepreneur starting off on her or his journey?
I feel, first of all, don't come into it. Don't be an entrepreneur if you feel you have extra money, husband's money, father's money, or whatever. Don't come in for a name or a tag. It's going to be a hard grind. So be ready for those sleepless nights and hard grind. That's very, very important. Third, I feel as an entrepreneur, we forget initially. That is why first 2-3 years I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs fail, is because they come into the manager role. 70%, 80% time they're doing the same thing what their manager is supposed to do, or they're repeating the same thing. So you're supposed to be a leader. You're supposed to lead the team, give them a vision, give them, chase them towards that. So that is very important. And if you have to fail, you fail fast. I mean, you should be ready to pivot, and it's okay. I think it's good to learn from your failures and talk about it. And you need help. I tell them, I say, scream, because there are people. There were times when I felt the same. I just reached out to people I never knew, even if I knew, irrespective of whatever the experience was, and people reciprocated back. I mean, it was so wonderful to see, the kind of people, the support that I've got, to be where I am. So I feel, you ask for it and you will get it.
Wonderful.
So don't hesitate to ask questions.
Wonderful. Tamanna, on that note, thank you so much for speaking to me about your journey, about all the great work you're doing in building so many different brands. And thank you for the great advice you've given for entrepreneurs.
It's such a pleasure. And believe me, Ashutosh, it's leaders like you who have motivated us. And I told you, I'm a fan of yours. I've read your book a couple of times. And when I'm back, I'm going to take a self-autographed copy from you.
I'd love to catch up
with
your husband.
Definitely.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the Brand Called You.